Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Dragonheir Silent God video. I'd like to thank Dragonheir for continuing to sponsor the channel. And today we're going to be looking at the early game experience. Those different areas of the game you need to go to, you need to push if you really want to get your account moving at some pace. If you're a new player to Dragonheir, you can actually download right now. There'll be a link in the description and in the pinned comment. You'll be able to come in, download on any device, whether it's PC, Mac. You can actually play on Steam on PC. That's what I'm doing right now. Or you can play on any iOS or Android device. If you're actually a US-based player on Android or iOS, you want to be looking for Dragonstride. It's been renamed in the US. But elsewhere, look for Dragonheir Silent Gods and you will find the game. Dragonheir have made a ton of changes in the last year. And it's now like really generous in terms of giving you hard hitting heroes, right? Where it's legendaries coming at you, you've got epics coming at you. You can really build some fun teams super quick. I'm on my account here. It's just a bunch of legendaries that I picked up for free, or a bunch of summons that I picked up just for playing the game in that first week of gameplay, which means that you can craft really cool teams. I've also changed something called resonance level in the game, where basically once I level one hero up using experience from the Goblin raids, which we're going to show you in a second, then everybody is leveled up. Everyone hits that same level, which means that you can basically play and use anybody on your account as soon as you get them, which is super fun as well. So let's talk about what we're going to do then. The first thing I would advise you to do is follow the story, follow the quest. It's going to empower you. It's going to give you a lot of rewards. You're basically just looking on the map for where this exclamation mark is, and you can like fast travel between different points on the map to enable you to sort of move and get there quicker. There's also this kind of like auto navigate system in the game as well, which helps you do that. But basically following the quest line and keeping up with story will just give you a ton of free resources. It will also be the best way that you can level up your account. So your actual account level here grows as you do the story more quickly, and it will give you a ton of free resources. So always stay on top of doing that. You can see, since I did my last summon video, I've got 217 Heliite dice. I have not bought a single one. I've got those through playing the game, doing the story mode, and doing some of the different content I'm going to talk about in this video. The second thing I would say is like they drop these different events quite early on in the game. You can see some of my different challenges I've got. Per day, I get a bunch of different quests, and basically, as you clear them, you can see I'm just earning tons of dice for summons and tons of scrolls. It's also how you actually earn Wukong for free as well. And what it does is it keeps you on the straight and narrow in terms of beating different levels of content. The more you beat, each day opens up like another chapter, and then you're beating the next stages of content, dungeons, things like that, which we're going to talk about as well in a sec. So yeah, in Dragonheir, basically you've got this kind of icon down the bottom right. This shows you where all the different content is that you're currently unlocked. So although they've got the world map, you can run around the map, you can run to these places if you want to. But if I want to go to any sort of specific place, I can literally go there. It tells me as well if I've got rewards waiting for me on these different places. So the Goblin is seen as a growth area. This is how we're going to enhance our heroes. So we're going to the Goblin's Lair. Day one, you want to be farming all the way up to stage 5. And this is going to be like your main source of growing your account. Just make sure that you can farm up some goblins. So what we're looking for here really is just those AoE damage dealers. One of the best ones early on for sure is Sigrid. She's a rare. She does tons of damage based on enemies having debuffs. So she's doing a ton of damage against all enemies inflicted with debuffs, with a 75% chance of inflicting healing, prohibition, and attack penalty. So what you really want is to try and get her ult as quick as possible. Then you want other heroes in the group to have the ability to land loads of debuffs. So Voresh is particularly good here. We've got heroes like Furbath, who's kind of good to frontline, but do AoE damage and land AoE debuffs. We've got another one here, Dane, who's again going to put AoE debuffs out for you with his skills. So setting up that Sigrid nuke. And another rare who's pretty good to activate a Sigrid is Fateless as well. I've just put them in like relatively simple gear, and we can see pretty quickly we just kind of like stack debuffs up, and then we stack nukes. Debuff on, I mean, we're going to plow through this stage anyway, but debuffs up and nukes coming in from Sigrid just to get the job done. The next thing you're going to unlock is the Grave of Venom. The Grave of Venom is where you get your weapons and your helms from. So again, like gearing up some of your heroes to start to be able to do their job. So you'll start off obviously a lot earlier level. It's going to be more simple. You actually get given a free tank, Urian, for this, which is well worth pushing for and using. Really, the idea of this fight is to have one frontline unit, one big tank who can tank up all of the damage. Then you want at least two supports, I would say, keeping that tank alive, and then a couple of DPS. In the very early levels, you might have one tank, one support, 3 DPS because it's just easier. But I would say pretty quickly you're going to switch to 2 supports and 2 DPS. So we can kind of watch this run through here. Hopefully I've not taken any gear off of these guys to show you that last fight. But you can see we've got one guy here, my Urian, just kind of like tanking it up. I've got shields coming from my guys. I've got protective buffs. And then my 2 DPS are basically working their way through. You can see the colossal damage here coming in from the DPS. Whilst we've got tank and 2 supports just kind of like keeping them alive. I'm on a higher stage here because I'm a bit further in the game, but the strat is the same. And you want to be starting to farm up gear nice and early. With this game, you can actually equip gear to a hero and then move it around for free. So you can get yourself a really good set for your DPS, and you want to be moving that around your team as you like encounter different challenges and that type of thing. So I find that I want probably 4 or 5 good DPS sets eventually, and similar with slightly different types of support sets depending on the heroes. But yeah, I do find myself moving gear around a decent amount, honestly. You can see here we got ourselves a weapon and we got ourselves a helm. Again, not the best piece, honestly, but doesn't matter. This is where you do a bunch of farming. You can also get yourself some of these different materials that you can actually use for forging in the camp to forge your own gear. Right, then we get to day 2, and day 2 we're going to unlock the Grave of Rot and the Grave of Curse. So here obviously you get your chest plates from the Grave of Curse, you get your gloves from the Grave of Rot. Again, early game, you're only going to be able to fight up until stage 8. If we talk about the Grave of Rot, it's really about managing debuffs. So you're going to get poisoned a ton. And what we want to do here is make sure, we've got a couple of options. The boss is going to rip poisons off and then heal. So we've got a few options. We can either cleanse the poisons off of ourselves. We can block the healing from the boss with healing prohibition. Or we can just try and out DPS the healing that the boss is going to do. I would say the best route is to try and actually cleanse. You see the way the boss is absolutely like gobbling up my tank and healing there. I would say the best way is to try and cleanse. And there's a number of great heroes in the game to be able to do it. But you can see here, as long as you bring some really decent DPS numbers, same 2 DPS that I was showing early. And honestly, the game just gives you a lot of these great heroes at this point. So, what my best DPS in the mix here was just the day 2 login reward hero that we get. So you still need to think about the teams that you're going to build out. But the fact that we get someone like Ledhelia here, who is just doing like crazy amounts of necrotic damage, and we're also given an absolute freaking amazing tank, it's definitely easy to start to build those teams out. The Grave of Curse is, again, a different challenge. So this one is about trying to mitigate the damage coming into you. We've got Xenos here, the Blood Prince, is going to be buffing his own damage. You're going to want to put things like decrease attack on the boss. You're also going to want to try and strip those buffs away, ideally, because he'll do a lot of damage to you. Probably one of the best ways to negate the damage is to see, I've got decreased attack on him. I just removed his buffs so that he doesn't have his attack up and his crit up. One of the best ways to negate the amount of damage coming to you is to use shielding. Shielding is really great here. But you can see we're keeping like attack reduction on pretty much all of the time. And then when he gets his buff, he's just got his increased attack buff there. And his increased crit. We're going to want to strip those off as soon as we can. There it goes. And just keep those under control. Again, as soon as you do that, you're going to be able to sort of build out your teams here, and you're going to be able to do some good work in terms of getting yourself some chest plates as well. Pop, there goes his buff. Slightly out of time that time, actually, because he's managed to keep his crit, but we've got enough shielding here to make sure that we stay alive. I've also got these summons, which honestly, oh, actually, it's going to be tight. It's actually going to be tight now. Both of my DPS are in the dirt. Well, you can see how much AoE damage this guy does. So even with a team now that I've been farming with, because my timing was slightly off on the crit damage removal, I still failed it. So perhaps I need to go down a level for my auto farm here. But you get the idea. It's just about controlling his damage output and really keeping your shields and stuff up. On day 3, we unlocked the different elemental areas. So these areas, they're pretty comfortable to do. I think they're relatively easy grinds. It's just about upgrading your teams and your builds with the different gear that you're getting to be able to deal with them. You basically just want to make sure that you're using the alternative elements in these. So you can see in any battle the sort of different elements that pair well together. So if we're fighting the fire boss, fire pairs with poison. We don't want to be bringing in fire or poison to this fight. We want either the lightning and radiance or the ice and necrosis. Same for any of these fights, basically. You just want to bring kind of like the counter balance to the element that you're trying to take down. And again, you'll get yourself some different stones here, these crystals, which help you improve your talents for each of your different heroes. The last area I want to talk about is the Temporal Vortex. It's one of my favorite fights in the game so far. Really, really cool. It's kind of like your, I guess, clan boss type of vibe. We get some really good daily rewards if we're doing high damage. Getting themselves some scrolls for, you know, leveling up the different abilities of our heroes, as well as dice and worm arrow. Worm arrow, the equivalent basically of getting Heliite dice. Look how cool this dude looks. So basically here it's a slightly different fight again. So no tanks required. I would suggest you have 3 DPS and 2 supports. You could probably get away with, in the very early stages, 4 DPS, 1 support. But obviously as it ramps up in damage, you want to be making sure your team stay alive. You definitely want to try and make sure that you get the different elements on your side so that you're getting the best bonuses from your elemental setups. Generally, you want to be building either 3 and 2 in terms of like element support, or like a full elemental team. So yeah, really what we're doing here, we're just trying to pump our DPS numbers whilst keeping our team alive. Shields are really good here. And obviously general healing. I'm using a summon based comp with my 3 kind of DPS here. You can see the DPS top absolutely crunching it. And you get like a rating for the different damage numbers that you do. And that's going to be how you get your rewards on the daily basis. This is all helping our deal. Look how many summons I've got out on the board. It's absolutely disgusting, this squad. And yeah, super fun. You can see we've got here one of the heroes from the sort of first banner that we had out. And yeah, lots of... This is honestly a really fun fight to really try and min-max different comps. I've got a different team that I built out, which was like an all-fire team. This is like this necrosis summon team. Yeah, super, super fun to try and get yourself some of those maximum damage numbers. Okay, now you've got the basics of what we're going to need to do for the early couple of days. Let's just like fast forward a few days. And you should be trying to clear out the Goblin Lair really to stage 12. The more efficiently you can do this, the better you get your resonance level up. And let me show you quite a cool team for this. And all of these heroes that I'm going to call out here, they're all ones that are either epics or I've just picked up through different events. So we've got our front line here, our tank, Urion, really just to group the different goblins together so that when we're doing our AoE smacks, they're going to do a lot of work. So we've got frontline tank, really just built them out of a lot of HP, lots of defense. This is just like my general like tank build anyway. We've then got Dritz. So if you saw my video with Dritz, he's the hero that we're able to get through the D&D event, which is super cool. I do need to put his gear on him though. We'll show you that in a sec. We've got Vidimir, who is basically my... I guess like he does a bunch of cold damage. Like this is a frost-based team, so he's going to be doing that like bouncing frost damage between all of the different enemies. Super cool epic for this fight, really fun. And yeah, pumps out quite a lot of damage. We've then got Rava. So Rava is again kind of in that sort of cold damage setup, kind of hits this target. This is why we want Urian to group people together. He's going to give them a big old smack, and he's firing different orbs at enemies. And we've got Voresh here, who's really given us that kind of like board-wide debuffs and again, just kind of like empowering this squad. So what we can do, you can see here my gear. You saw a bunch of my gear is not on. Once you preset up that team, you can then just come and click on this one. If it basically is telling you some stuff is not equipped from your normal team, I can hit load. It's going to load that equipment on from all of my heroes, and then bam, you can see everyone's got their right gear on. The other thing you can do with these teams is you can edit when you're going to do your skills. I don't need to for this particular team because we're just going to go out there and smack. But for things like Vortex, you might say, you know, you want to change the timing of different skills going off. Actually makes a big difference. Let's show you what, you know, a later game team would look like, still using a bunch of free heroes. You can see we're on this kind of like, what, 3 times speed now. We group these enemies up. Even like my epic Varesh, actually doing really high damage per second. There's the nuke though. Look at the nuke coming in there. Beautiful from Dritz there. Oh, and again, so big. So big from Venom. Super fun. Absolutely pulverized the wave. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to beat the waves down before this 50-second mark. That's what's going to give you your like maximum rewards in terms of the amount of like leveling juice you're going to get, your experience files. But even if you only did sort of 2, it's still worth like progressing through to the later stages. But yeah, you can see it. Fast run. We get yourself a bunch of experience. Really interesting to see the stats there actually. Well, we had 30% from Venom, 40% from Dritz, and then the other one's really enabling that team to work. And then obviously once you have got your experience in, you can then come into your heroes and upgrade your resonance level. So I'm now at a position here where I'm going full beans up to level 100. Everybody on my team is now maxed out in terms of resonance. Anyone I get fresh has now got that same resonance level, which is so fun when you get new pulls, honestly. I can move gear around freely. I can use anyone that comes onto my account as like a full max level hero. And it's just an awesome, awesome system in Dragonheir. So that's going to do it for today. Hopefully you got some new player tips there, as well as some tips in terms of like pushing forward towards the end. Yeah, don't forget to download Dragonheir if you haven't already. The link will be down below. And yeah, awesome, awesome game. I'll see you in the next one.